Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Master Lock K7000 box. This is a box of the 7-pin W7000 cylinder Keyblank is what it is. When you buy one, you're buying a box of 50. That's just how these are sold and priced. Okay, let's take a look at the contents of the box. When we pull that cover off, there's going to be a notice here, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. 50 key blanks. Okay. $7,000. B. 7-pin original blank. Okay. Now, let's take a closer look. This will be stamped 7000B, as you can see. Now, let's take some dimensional properties of this item. And then we're going to take a look at that notice because it pertains to our dimensional properties as well. Okay, so a couple of basic dimensions. The blade height is 0.286. 0.286 is the blade height. From the shoulder stop to the end of the blade, I'd say that you're going to be right at 0.838 from the shoulder stop to right the tip of my finger, not to the tip of the blank, but to the top of the blade itself. 0.838. Yes. Now, we're talking about this notice. Verify key cut depths before using these blanks to duplicate keys. Okay? So, what they're saying is the following. And what I think they're saying by that is there has been a change in their key blanks, and I'm not an expert at all when it comes to the history of master locks or their key blanks, but the reason they would insert this is to make sure that you're cutting, that you're going to have success with this key blank. So I do see in the manual, which we'll get to in a moment, that they have one, a 7000 that's discontinued. So I think what they're saying is before you start to cut your work, trying to see if there's a key within distance. Stand by. Okay, so what they're saying on this, and if you're not a locksmith, you would probably not know this information, but even if you are, you may not know it. So cuts 0 through 7. You'll see that a 0 cut has a root depth of 0.2845. You'll see that a 7 cut has a smaller root depth of 0.1760. A lot of people will figure the cut of the key to be the depth. So this first cut is deeper than that last cut. Okay, so you'd figure that has a deeper cut, and the answer is it does. Okay, now keep in mind your 0 cut was a 0.245 and your 7 cut was a 0.176. Okay, so the 0 cut has a larger root depth. Now root depth is measured from the root of the blank to the bottom of the cut. So when you let that settle in, a 0 is a shorter cut depth than a 7. A 7 is deeper. But in a 0, there's more of the key blank left from the root. Therefore, that dimension is greater. So it is literally measured from, let me get my caliper. Okay, so the root depth is the bottom of the blade to the depth of the cut. And I'm just going to illustrate how that's measured so that you can see how it's measured. It's literally measured from the bottom of the key blade to the root of the cut, like that. So when you are looking at that notice, you're literally looking at the bottom of the cut to the bottom of the blade. The point is this. They're basically saying when you use these blanks on keys that you're trying to cut, you need to verify that this is what you have, because obviously this key blank may have changed where the dimensions, the milling dimensions to the root of the blade may have changed, and that's why they're saying double check. So be mindful. If you are cutting keys, you'll want to make sure that you are working with something that's you're expecting success with. And plus, after you make your cut, you can use this to confirm that your cut is accurate. Okay, so you know what your root depths are. And again, it's a 0, which is a very shallow cut, which will again have a deeper root depth because there's more of the key blank. The 7 is a very deep cut, so it'll have a smaller root depth. Now, let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at some supporting documentation. Okay, so this is the item that we are looking at here. Not much to see here, because there's just not much to see here, but there will be here. Let's go over the, click the link to the manufacturer's page, and from this page there is a document that has technical manual in the title, and there it is, and let's fire that up. So this is an old document, but nonetheless it pertains parts diagrams or exploded, views of their several and many products. The point is that we can look at some key blanks, and I don't recall the page number, but I'm just going to search for K7000 because I know that will get me to the page. Okay. Now, very interesting. New keys, round on the bottom. And this is most certainly going to allow us to understand a bit better in terms of why you have this notice of these root depths. So this document, I believe, is from 2011. Avoid duplicating an old key onto a new B-style round back blank. Cuts will be about 125 thousandths too deep. Use codes below to cut. So they've got a B. The B has a rounded bottom. As I had said earlier, it's going to be a change to the distance from the milling, the ledge, the milling, whatever the absolute proper terms are, I just simply forget, to the bottom of your blank. So you're referencing in a duplicator the bottom of the blank, right? That's what you're referencing. If you are trying to duplicate a flat bottom key blank onto a B style, that's where the trouble comes in, where they're about 125 thousandths too deep. So be mindful of that. Okay. So that's really handy information, which explains why we have that. The second page that's here in the technical manual, and these two pages are linked to down below, gets us to our W7000, 7000B, shows us our broaching. And that's that discontinued blank I had mentioned, but again, the B is a round bottom. I don't know why they changed it, but they did. I would obviously, while the profile is the same, let's assume its reference point from the bottom of the face of the plug or the bottom of the plug to the top of the broaching, of course, would have to be different to accommodate, would be my guess. Would certainly be different to accommodate. Very handy document to use when you're trying to identify key blanks. I've had clients email me photographs of master blanks, and I've been able to use this document to positively identify what is needed. And when I can't, I can call the factory, and they're very, very welcome to, they're very, very agreeable to help, even to the point where there has been a time when they offered to review it physically if I sent the key blank to them. So very helpful. And every time that I call Master, they are very, very engaged, professional. They have a command of the subject matter. They understand their product every single time. So that link to the manufacturer's page that I mentioned here, which is here, that will allow you to review not only all of the Master products that we sell, a link to their website, as well as several and many encyclopedic documents, a catalog, older catalogs, different documents to support an older product catalog, that technical manual, definitions and terminology. And I like Master. Master, and so all of the North American manufacturers of cylinders that offer a high security cylinder, like Schlage, Corbin Russwin, Sargent, Yale, Falcon, on and on and on and on. I can't think of a high security cylinder from Falcon, so let's back that one out. And many others. Medico, obviously the biggest name in the business. Those companies, along with Kwikset and Master, I like because Kwikset, along with those companies and Master, has a technical manual where you can look and see how their product works and how to service it, rather than leaving it to you know, dark arts, so to speak, of how to determine how something works. So very, very appreciative that they publish that information. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Nice quality Keyblank, supported, sold by a very nice quality manufacturer, that's to be sure. I really can't show you what that rounded bottom looks like on the camera, but there are photographs of this Keyblank down below that will allow you to review that. Now, speaking of that, just real quick, page 2 of that technical manual that's linked to down below, that's showing you the broaching in the cylinder plug, not when you're looking at the tip of the key. So when you look at that profile, you're not seeing this as if I'm looking here. In your mind's eye, you have to flip that around. It's when you're looking down into the cylinder or the broaching. A piece of brass has a broach that is forced through it to cut that broaching, and then Keyblanks are milled to match that broaching. Anyway, any questions on this master, or K7000B box, or any other master product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.